Hello fly tyers, welcome to another episode of Aaron at the Fly Desk. Today we're going to make a fly I call the striper streamer. We have a lake called Lake Powell that is a lake I grew up fishing. It's the best way to describe Lake Powell is it's like the Grand Canyon filled up with water, and it's filled with striped bass, which kind of become a nuisance because they've overtaken all the largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, and crappie. There's still a lot of largemouth and smallmouth, but it would probably be better if there wasn't so many stripers. But stripers are fun. There's no limit on them. Fairly easy to catch. My kids love striper fishing. It's the type of fishing. I think our record, we caught 170 last year, and they're all pretty nice big fat fish, so it's fun. So me and Trevor are going to do a little contest. He's going to fly fish, and I'm going to bait fish. Either way I win, because if Trevor beats me, it's because I tied his flies for him. But if I win fishing with bait, it's just nice to beat Trevor at fishing. So we'll be doing that video here pretty soon. The stripers are just about on. So this is what we call a striper streamer. It's tied, I actually like tying it on a salmon hook. This is a 1/0 salmon hook. And I like a big, nice, hefty hook. And what we're going to do is we're first going to get some strung marabou. And we're going to two-tone this. So we're first going to get a clump of white. And pull this out. So I get pretty liberal with my marabou. My 6-year-old Jace has been in here tying flies, so I can't find my scissors or my whip finisher, but I've got an extra whip finisher. But the scissors I have aren't the greatest, so we'll improvise. But how do you tell your 6-year-old he's not allowed to tie flies? You just can't. Gotta let him do it. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some white marabou, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some crystal flash, and you can use any color. I like to use red or orange because my theory is those are trigger colors for fish. When they see some red or orange on a fly, I think it triggers strikes. I don't have scientific proof, but I do have proof that I've caught a lot of fish with a little bit of red in the fly. So we got about 8 strands there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get some olive marabou. And I'm going to pull this out. Oops. Don't like that clump. Or that clump. Jeez. Striking out here. There we go. So nice big clump of marabou. Cut it off. And then what I do is I lay it right straight on. I'm not too worried about taper, and I'll show you why when we get to that point. All I want to do is get this nice and firm. I'm using some 3/0 monocord. So got a nice tail. Then what I like to do is I like to get a Sharpie marker, black. This is just a little trick. Is I like to put some bars in my marabou, and it just adds a little extra. A lot of minnows or little bass, they'll have a little bit of black in them, so I like to do that on my marabou. Okay, next, hopefully we're focused there. Let's make sure. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get some chenille. This is I think this is called polycore chenille. You get it from the Fly Shack. I like the Fly Shack. They got good stuff there. And this is just the olive color. And what I'm going to do with this is, as you can see, it's got a little bit of shine to it. I'm going to tie a little bit on the edge. Okay, just like so. And in this fly, you can put some lead in it to get it down. A lot of times when we're fly fishing for stripers, they're pretty close to the surface. We fish what's called the boils. That happens in June, and the stripers are right on the top, and so you don't need a lot of lead in these unless you are going to be fishing deep. And so this one we're not going to do any lead. Keep it pretty simple. But once I've got it to this point, I like to get some super glue just for some extra insurance. And I cover anywhere where that chenille is going to wrap through. And the reason is when you're fishing for stripers, it's fast and furious, and the last thing I want is for my flies to come apart. Okay, so you can see I've got my chenille and I'm just wrapping it end over end. I'm not crazy worried about taper. Like I said, I'll show you why. Okay, so now I've got it wrapped all the way to the eye of the hook. Cut that off. I'm going to build us up a little red head right here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is whip finish. Whoops. Like so. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my black Sharpie marker, and I'm going to put some black bars on the top of this fly as well. Just like that. And then we're going to pull out some UV glue. This I got off of eBay. It's like a big old tube of UV resin. My 6-year-old loves using UV glue, so if I'm going to afford to tie flies, I've got to start getting some economies of scale going, so he's not using the expensive loon stuff or the other small bottles. So we got a big bottle, so we're going to try it on this fly. But first we've got to put our eyes on. Okay, so I tend to put bigger eyes on my flies than most people, because once again, I think eyes are a trigger. Just dropped it. Okay, so there's two nice big beautiful eyes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop some UV glue right in the middle of those two eyes, like so. Then I'm going to hit it with my light, and what's that going to do is that's going to hold them together. we're gonna come on the bottom, and we're gonna do the same thing. Settle in there. We're gonna hit it again. Just like so. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cover this whole body with my glue. I'm going to kind of spin this around so I get nice even taper. And now you're just going to use the glue to build the fly up. And this last one, I like to get it to where it's just about to drip, and then hit it right on the drip. And what it does is it makes a little dorsal fin. It's kind of cool. There's a lot of neat things you can do with UV glue. You can see it's got a little dorsal fin on it. Kind of cool. And that, my friends, is the striper streamer. Hard as a rock now. And you literally cast these into the boil and strip like crazy. And it gets really good movement and catches some fish. So, thank you for watching this episode of Aaron at the Fly Desk. And we will watch Trevor use this, and hopefully he outfishes me with it. Thank you for watching.